Hey guys, it's Gene here, and today I want to tell you my story. And this story is of how my past year went. This past year is the first year that I've been in business. Um, First time that I ever owned a business and operated one. And this story of a lot of setbacks, but also a lot of just amazing, great things and feelings that I've never experienced before. Um, so I will show you what I've done this year and kind of in a timeline and the businesses and the companies that I've been building and working on. And I think if you take away anything from the story is, if you're if you're thinking about starting your own business, obviously we have a lot of folks that are running one already. But if you're really thinking about it, I just want you to know, like, there's not a single reason for you not to start where you want to start. As long as it's something you strongly believe in, something that you strongly want to do, or it's gonna help your family, whatever, like, there's 1,000 excuses for you to make not to start, but there's another 1,000 of excuses to trick your mind, to motivate your mind, whatever you gotta do to start and keep going and keep going and keep going, fail along the way until you succeed. 1,000 reasons. So I grew up in a country called Kyrgyzstan, and that's part of the Soviet Union. It was part of the Soviet Union before it broke up. And I had a pretty normal childhood, I would say. I don't like to complain about it, although there were a lot of like weird things about it. And I grew up in Kyrgyzstan, and there it's like you're kind of a minority. Me, I was a minority because like most folks, don't look like you. And there was some tensions, like some, I guess, racial tensions, national tensions. Between the Russian population and the Kyrgyz population. Not everybody, of course, but just like in any mixed society, there's a slice of racist out there. And so what I experienced when I was a kid is like my mother always made sure that I went to like really good schools, and I was in this like mathematics school. I was in this like school that focuses on English, and because we were kind of, I don't like to say poor, but we didn't have as much money as like the rich kids that were going to these schools had. So I always felt this little bit like almost like not embarrassment, but I had to like hide something. I had to like hide the fact that my parents aren't as wealthy as some of the kids that I was like hanging out with were. And I think that was a very uncomfortable thing. That if I don't know not how much to say about it, but that was growing up. My dad was a truck driver, so like he would spend, he would be one week, a couple weeks he'd be home, and then he would go to like Siberia on a truck, like delivering watermelons and stuff, or whatever products, delivering them to like China, to like Siberia, to Russia, to all these different places. So he would be home in like short chunks of time, and then he would be away. So it was kind of my mother really building me up a lot of times, and anytime my dad would come home, it would be really cool because he would park his truck out back, and we were living in the city, and it was like the coolest thing because your dad is like this badass on this like huge truck, coming home. That was pretty cool. It was always the best day when like dad would show up. So and so that was my childhood, and then we moved to the United States when I was about 15 years old. And that's kind of where my life started really going, because I was 15 and started to get my first job. And what happened when I was getting into college is I was working 3 jobs back then and doing college. So like I was doing a pizza job, I was doing a warehouse selector job, and that was the warehouse selector. I think that was a very formative job for me, just because there was a pay for production situation where I could, the more boxes you pick, the more you get paid. Initially, it was like completely just overwhelming because it was so hard after cutting pizzas and stuff, and but eventually I actually became the top warehouse selector there. And that gave me the first taste of like victory, of how to be the best at something, at least something, because I was never like getting super good grades and stuff like that. I was kind of a troublemaker kid in school. So what happened was when I graduated college, I always knew that I wanted to have my own business. I went to always business like pusher, like overachiever. Like I went for 2 majors in college. I had 3 jobs and was doing college. But then I graduated, and I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but I quit all these jobs, and I had one job that I got after graduation. I had it lined up, and at the time I considered myself very successful because it was like a 50K job in a small town, New Hampshire, and I was like 21 years old. And I felt like, I kind of made it to a certain level where I don't have to like hustle as hard. And that was the biggest mistake that I made in my 20s. I noticed changes within myself. I was living with a girlfriend at the time. I noticed, maybe I wasn't even self-aware enough to realize what was happening to me. But, I became more like irritable, just like whatever they call it, like irritable man syndrome or whatever they call it, right? And so we ended up breaking up. We ended up, going our separate ways. And for a while, I was kind of like giving myself an excuse to be still bothered by that breakup. And, I started like partying a lot. I started drinking a lot and just doing all kinds of like this party stuff for a couple years. And then I moved and mind you, not starting a business at all. It was kind of like brewing in my head, like, well, you got to do something. And I tried to start like one project here, one project here. I was trying to do this like art website where people could place their art, stuff like that. But never really had the resolve or the knowledge and actually like how to start and keep going. Which I think if I discovered someone like Grant Cardone or someone like even like Ty Lopez when I was that age, I probably would have like followed them into how to become like an entrepreneur from being a solopreneur, from being an employee. So that was kind of my early 20s. Then I moved to Massachusetts, got a job with a tech company, Akamai. Started working here, and still not building a business. And I remember I would drive back to my parents' house when my parents were still in New Hampshire, and I would drive there on the weekends. And I remember just like driving back every fucking weekend. I would drive back and just it would kill me inside. Like, holy shit! Like, why can't you just start something that will like improve how your family lives, like improve how you live? Like, why can't you? And everything just seemed so difficult to start. Like all these companies, like you just think about it, and you're like, wow, they get to do so much. And also, I kept giving myself this excuse, like, well, I don't want to work on this. I don't want to work on this. This is not cool enough for me. This is not cool enough for me. All these freaking excuses. But then every weekend, I would drive back, and I would think about it, and I'm like, damn, I wish you had some business that you were working on. And so it would just like eat me up inside. And that's when I started really just, I got on YouTube, and I was like, shit, YouTube, you can like learn anything. And I started learning about business, and I actually, hey, you'd be surprised, but this kind of journey of learning a lot, like, and just trying to develop myself, this self-development journey actually started with Mr. Ty Lopez's ad about his Lamborghini. I was like, shit, who's this kid? Let's see what's going on. And then he started sharing all this philosophy stuff and all this other stuff that he was, sharing to like educate his audience, build his brand. And then I started getting into philosophy. And I got really deep into philosophy because I'm, always been like a pusher, like just trying to, I was trying to really like figure out the meaning of life at that point. I'm like, because like I'm like all these thinkers have pondered about it. Why am I not pondering about it? You know what I'm saying? It's like same thing with businesses. Like all these people started businesses. Why am I not doing it? So that was like a really formative year for me, and that was probably like 3 years ago when that process started for me. And then my ex gave me she gave me a drone because she saw me fly one at Brookstone, and she was like, wow, this is super cool. And I was flying, and I was just like completely in love with the thing. So she got me a drone for Christmas, and I was like, dude, this is the coolest thing in the world. And then I was like, it came at the right time, and was like, shit, I'm gonna get like, and it was just like a toy one. I'm gonna get a really decent one, get really good at it, and then like try to charge people money for it. All right. So I was like, this is the perfect thing because I'm so passionate about it, and I was just like giving myself excuses because I knew my patterns of giving myself excuses not to start something. I started giving myself excuses on why I should go into business doing this drone thing. And mind you, that was when I first started like thinking about it, like strategy on how to do that. Um, it just like something happens, like some stupor or something like that happened, and like it took me a while to figure out how to even charge people money for it, right? How to even like get around it, like how to ask for money, and that I think goes back to my upbringing. Like nobody in my family except for my brother-in-law were business people, and so it was always like this employee mindset, this Soviet mindset I call it, of not having a business, not and just like asking for money was a real issue. Like what I think sometimes even today it's a bit of an issue with some clients when when I'm selling, but definitely like worlds away from where I was when I first started. And so what happened was, take back to this thing. I started. It was last February 17th, when I started my first business. When I actually went and registered it as an LLC. Obviously, I already had just a couple of clients, and it was not. It was exciting at first, and then like you start the business and you like do this marketing, this, and you're like, shit, it didn't work. Like there's not a lot of clients. There's like barely any clients. What the hell? So that was an interesting moment, and I think that was like, but was I gonna quit? No way. And especially like I had a new girlfriend at the time. I really felt like I had to like, I think it kind of helped me like stay on myself just to kind of prove that I'm, I can do this. And you're like, you just gotta use every single thing around you as an excuse to keep going. Use everything as fuel. Everything you see around you is fuel. Everybody you see on the street is fuel. Every time, that actual girlfriend we would have a fight and she'd tell me that I'm wasting my time. That was fuel. Everything is fuel for this. So, February, I started Drone Boston, which I kind of coined the brand before. Just it's a local service, and it's a local drone service, so it made sense to have it like local, especially for SEO. This kind of name really helps. And then that's when a mentor actually helped me out back in that February, helped me out to get my SEO set up, and that SEO also took months to show results. So it's just like it's like I guess that mindset shift is the biggest thing. Is like you expect that you're gonna do something, and then tomorrow you wake up, you see a result. Well, in business, it just doesn't work that way. But the good thing is that once you get into a habit of planting these seeds every single day, planting, it's like Jim Rohn explains this really well. It's just like plant these seeds. Some of them won't go ripe. Some of them won't like protrude through the ground or whatever. Some of them will just be lost. But that's why you got to plant more seeds, even more. That way, Jim Rohn explains this law of averages that eventually, because you're doing so much, you're doing like 10 times more than other people, and you're gonna get like 5 times the return. It's still gonna be 5 times. It's not gonna be the 10 times that you worked more than others, but you're still gonna have 5 times more than others because you planted so much seeds. So that was Drone Boston, and I started getting some clients, and I started working on marketing. I started learning how to market things online. And I had this I had a particular customer in mind, and they were construction companies that need progress photography done on their site. And so, I started marketing to them. I started actually cold calling people. That was the first time I ever cold called somebody, and that was amazing. I think that was all these things, all these new. It's like all these new things in business, when you have to do something for the first time, it's always like jumping out of a plane. It's amazing. Like you feel this rush, and you're like, shit, I love cold calling because it's like, oh, it's so hard. So that was my February, and then I realized that like I need to get a lot better. Very early on, I understood that I need to get a lot better at marketing this thing online, because I had a job at IBM. I still have that job. It's like a 9-to-5 job. That's a very serious job. Like right now, I at the time I was a professional services delivery manager, so like project management manager, person that looks after all our client projects within our part of IBM, like a delivery of those projects. Like, it's a very serious job, and even though I did start kind of optimizing it a lot more and spending less time on it as soon as I started my own business, it was still a serious job. Like, I couldn't just go out and sell during the day, and that's also an excuse, damn it. But because eventually I would take lunchtime and I would go visit a construction company. I did there a few times. So, started doing that, started learning a lot about like digital marketing. Like, how do I put an ebook out? I put this ebook out for the construction industry, put this landing page together with this landing page software, MailMunch, and like no response, just no downloads. I was like, damn it, but I knew in the back of my mind, I had a feeling that I need to at least start this content marketing, this digital marketing. I need to at least start because it's gonna apply to any business. And I knew that in the back of my mind. And there's this concept. Some people, some scientists believe that there's really not like a past and a future, but there's just like you can actually feel your future as much as you can feel and remember your past. It's a very freaky concept, but I kind of believe in that sometimes, that you can actually feel your future as long as you go with the gut feeling. So I knew that was going to be important, even if I screw up a bunch of times. And, the support network, not a support network of people around me or my friends who I actually I just stopped talking to like a bunch of people in my life. And like my family also didn't really know what's going on because they're not business people. But, the support structure of, folks that you watch online that are crushing it. Folks like Grant, folks like Gary Vee, folks like Tai Lopez, folks like Elon Musk. You watch like what they're doing, and that's like you look to the top for advice. So that was Drone Boston, and then I went to that was business number one. Then I went to this drone conference, Interdrone, and at Interdrone I saw like how many people are just killing it in the drone space, but also like how many startups there are that are just startups. Like they don't even have a proof model yet of a business, but they do fake it till they make it kind of thing. And so I was like, shit, I gotta stand out. I just have a local drone service business. I gotta do something to stand out. And so I found a problem to latch onto, like a problem that everybody was having, and that problem was the federal government gives you an authorization. If you're doing commercial work on drones, you have to get an authorization from them to get to fly next to an airport. So what I did was I went and paid a developer. At first, actually, I tried to do it myself on WordPress. It just completely, that was ugly. But I started it, and I came back from the conference. I was like, we're gonna do this website where people can list their authorizations that they already have, because it takes 3 to 5 months to get one. Folks that already have them, drone businesses that already have them, they can list them there, and then drone businesses that don't have them can go and rent them from them. And it can be like a marketplace for these people. And that's how Airspace Today was born. And was it easy to work with a developer? It was not even easy to find a developer. I mean, I was on Upwork, and I eventually actually ended up finding one on Craigslist. And when you're hiring a developer, you really want somebody that you can talk to, that you can understands you. But did it stop me that it was really hard? No, I kept looking. Somebody quoted me $2,000. I was like, no way, dude. And then $5,000 for to even start this thing. And I've been in software for 10 years, just being an employee and a project manager at work. So I know how this stuff works. And I know that it's going to be a throwaway product, whatever first version we build anyway, so that $5,000 will go to hell. So I finally found a developer that I worked with to build this thing. Launched it in the marketplace, growth hacked the hell out of it, just because I was in I was growth hacking it in groups. I made a little map with our coverage, with the coverage that we had, and then it was enticing people to add their own authorization if they had one. And that marketplace is running today. Did it bring a ton of sales? Not really, not yet, because it launched. I think it launched in December, but it solved a very important problem for the industry, where people that have the airspace can actually monetize that airspace. And I've helped people make money already. I've helped people monetize their airspace, and it cost me $2,000 to put this website together. You know what I'm saying? And I made a name for myself within this drone industry with all these commercial drone operators. Next year, when I go to Interdrone, everybody's gonna know me because they're like, oh, it's this guy that solved the authorization problem. Okay, so that was Airspace Today, and at the time, we, my girlfriend and I were, I don't know, we're like, maybe it's my ex-girlfriend. I think, yeah, it's already an ex. But at the time, we were like, I told her that I'm moving out. We had this like big fight, and I was moving out, and I got this place, this apartment next to Fenway Park. That's where the Red Sox play. And I, actually we ended up making up, because I was always like, I want to be committed. I want to be committed to this person. Whatever happens, I want to be committed. I do think sometimes you have to abandon ship, though. So what happened was I moved back in with her, but then I have this apartment at Fenway, and it was like, it was obvious, like, to her and to me, just let's do an Airbnb there. So that's how my Airbnb business was born. And I called it Forget Hotels. I actually made a little brand around it. Because that's just what I do. Is like I don't have just a business. I want a brand around it. I want it to have its own identity, even though it's just an Airbnb. And so that place in Fenway ended up being closed down because it didn't really work out because the neighbors complained, but the profits were like, whoa, this is amazing. I was like, I'm not getting out of this business. I'm gonna stay in. I actually got sued by the landlord. But I didn't care. I mean, I knew there was a risk of that when I was getting into it, so I didn't care. And then I got another Airbnb that's doing really well right now. I just got a booking for 5 days for like $4,000 in May. Not every month is that good, but like that is going to be a pretty good month. It's going to be like a 16K month, 15K month, maybe 20K month. So that was, how. And this was actually a really big process, like getting all the shit, setting up everything, the interior and stuff like that. Luckily, I like interiors, and I've traveled so much around the world that I've been to so many hotels. I know like the little quirks, little details. And even if I didn't, I'm sure I would have figured it out. But the building of that was really hard. I mean, because I have a 9-to-5 job. I have these drone gigs sometimes. Trying to build this thing, like at night in that Airbnb, I was sitting in Fenway. I was sitting trying to find the right developer for Airspace Today. But that's how Forget Hotels was born. Then, what happens is actually one very crappy thing happened, and that was my dad lost his job. My dad is a truck driver here too, and he lost his job at the time, and he's like a breadwinner for my family. And I was like, fuck, I gotta do something. I gotta do something for the family. I gotta find these things are all good and well, and like this had some clients, and this is more like a startup. It's taking so much time, and like the return is like not obviously. This is just solving a problem for the industry and beefing up this brand, but it hasn't become like this income producing machine yet. And this Airbnb stuff, it's good like side income, but that was like right around the time when I was getting sued and like getting out of one Airbnb and into the other one. And it was like, December was a really slow month. It was like barely breaking even in the Airbnb. So it was just like all this shit, and then my dad loses his job. I was like, fuck. And he lost his job, and also he had this like injury. And so like we didn't even know if he was going to be able to do trucking anymore. So I'm like, dude, you got to find out something. And so that's when I actually stumbled upon an ad for this real estate investing thing. Okay, and this real estate investing thing was, was Chris Rude. And I think it's worth mentioning him here on the timeline just because Chris Rude's a badass. But Chris Rude, and dude, it was like a $5,000 to $10,000 program to get from him to teach me how to do real estate investing and wholesaling. And I knew that I could learn all this stuff online myself, stuff like that. But honestly, it was like, like I needed a fast track to do something bigger so I could so I can my parents didn't expect me to support them, but I knew for myself that I need to do something like that. So, that was Chris Rude. And that's how New England house cash buyers were born. All right. And so I'm, and this was like December. So I'm still I'm still obviously learning the wholesaling game, but I already know it now, and I'm getting leads, and I'm actually generating leads for other people. Which actually, what happened is when I got connected to this place, to the group with Chris Rude, I got connected with 50 other people that are doing the same exact thing. I looked at what are they trying to do, what's their marketing efforts, where are they sucking, and I looked and I saw that they're using all like these, their lead generation online really sucks. And because I've already I already screwed up a bunch of Facebook ads for Joe in Boston before I learned how to do it right. And then I was trying to do Facebook ads here. I actually tried to launch a Facebook ad campaign for Forget Hotels, where it would be me going and helping other people to get their own place set up as their Airbnb. Didn't really work out, but I had all this practice of this digital marketing already, with these other businesses. So I was like, damn, let me spin up and that's when actually I started working with ClickFunnels, because the landing pages I was building for everything else sucks compared to ClickFunnels. I was like, let me put together an offering. I'll build the funnel for these real estate guys. I'll share that funnel with them, and I'll teach them how to use it. And in return, they're going to use my ClickFunnels sign-up link, which is going to bring me passive income. I was like, this is a marketplace. I'm going to do wholesaling, and I'll help these guys along the way. It's it makes sense, right? So that's how my passive income stream was born. And ClickFunnels pays me $40 for every member that I get signed up. So if it's 20 members, it's $8,000 a year that you're just gonna get. Just, thank you. So that's pretty amazing. All right. So that's how New England's House Cash Buyers were born. And I started teaching people how to do the funnel. I started teaching people how to do, how to actually launch a marketing campaign. Then I started noticing how they're not doing it really well. I launched my own Facebook marketing campaign for real estate, and that campaign did super well. It did amazing. And so I'm just like, all right, well, guess what? This is going to be a business because I'm really good at it. I already practiced. I already went through all the pain, all these mistakes, and on top of that, I went and invested into another program and another program on Facebook ads for real estate, on how to do funnels. I kept investing in myself on how to do it, so I become the expert, because it's a high income producing skill. It's marketing, and so that led to me dropping my marker. That led to the creation of Gene ROI marketing. All right, and actually, the way you read it is generous marketing. It's Gene ROI, and it's a $sign, okay? And it's because I focus on the ROI is why. So that was a year. That's just 1 year. And then with generous marketing, I got clients already. It's probably the fastest growing business that I've started. I mean, I still have these things going on, and Joe in Boston right now is on number one SEO rank for few of the relevant keywords for my area, which is great. I'm really getting good volume now. But the marketing piece is because I've started all these businesses and just did the branding for it, and figured out all these mistakes, just all this stuff. I actually know, and all this learning as well, all these programs, all this learning, just all this investing in myself. 1 year, and I'm running badass marketing campaigns for other people now. I mean, we launched one for Patrick Crook in Show Your Auto. He helps muscle car collectors, and that campaign is amazing. It got leads on leads, and the real estate campaign I run for myself brought a ton of leads for real estate. I'm working actually right now with a client in the drone industry, which is I'm doing a marketing campaign for them. And we're working with a tax financial advisor, building a marketing campaign for him. Worked with Mr. David Brownlee on his YouTuber course, just adding a ton of value there, just being his partner there on the marketing end, on the email automation end, on the course end, delivery, all this affiliate program setup. Even though the affiliate program didn't do so well with that, not yet. because I think folks signed up for the affiliate program, but we're still training them on how to be an affiliate. It's a process. So, that's the story, and this is just 1 year. And last, I think September, what I did is I went to my boss, took Grant's advice. I took Grant's advice in two things. I went and put my, allowances number to like whatever 7, and then I also went and asked for a sales job. Even though I had this like really good job, like 6-figure job, and like obviously lower 6 figures because it's a corporate job, right? But I went and asked like, hey, put me on something where I'm making commissions, because I'm learning so much about sales. And I mean, I was buying Grant's product before the mentoring program. I was buying the cold calling scripts, I was buying the rebuttal, I was buying the actual the webinars, the audiobooks, the closer survival guide, like all this stuff I was buying from him just to get myself to be able to cold call, to be able to sell. That started probably in like June. Okay, and I guess I went in my timeline. This is actually a full year, right? So, Feb 2018. So, this is really that's how my year has been, and I got that job. I asked my boss. I took her out to the nicest lunch place that we had around, the most like luxurious lunch place, and I asked her for this. I'm like, hey, I want a job that will be more so sales, and I got it. She had a problem that she'd been trying to solve, and it's deploying these huge license deals, making sure our brand gets in them. So I'm essentially I'm selling to the economic and the user buyers at the companies that use the brand within IBM that I work on. And so that actually is I get to keep my salary, and I have a 30% upside, like on the quota that I'm gonna meet. Do you think I'm gonna meet the quota? I'm gonna crush the quota, because like trust me, like after Cardone U, going and even like talking to the sales guys that we have now, it's surprising. Like some of the professional sales guys don't even know what they're doing to the extent that we're gonna know it. But obviously practice is very important there. So, that's 1 year of things, and a lot of like trust me, there are probably like 30 or 40% of nights when I went to bed and I was just like, whoa, this is overwhelming, this failed, this didn't work, Airspace today, like that didn't work, this person just complained about the site that it didn't work, it broke. I'm like, I was like my own support team for it. I'm telling you, probably like 30 to 40% of nights when I went to bed were like, fuck, like what am I gonna do next? Okay, but 60% of those were like, this is the best day of my life. I'm doing what I was dreaming about doing. I am doing that which I was dreaming about doing when I was driving back from New Hampshire to Boston, and just thinking like, being eaten up inside about the fact that I haven't started anything yet. And now I'm doing it, and I'm not just doing it, I'm 10xing this shit. I'm doing multiple things, and I'm not quitting any of them, and I'm developing each single one of them. And I still have these nights when I go, I probably not more, but I still have these nights when I go to bed and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Like, what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to figure this out? Because you get so caught up in a specific problem that you're dealing with at the time, and you're like just all your energy trying to solve it. But when you look back, when you dive up like this, you realize why you're doing all of it. You realize that it's a brick castle that you're building brick by brick, and it's not going anywhere. Those bricks, that foundation is not going anywhere. And the skills that I'm gaining, part of why we have this argument with my, I guess, ex now is like, she's like, well, you're risking your job. I don't want to be with a guy that doesn't have a job, like a full-time, 9-to-5 job. And I'm just like, well, you know what? Like, yes, I'm risking it, but all these skills that I got, all these sales skills, marketing skills, building a business, attracting customers, servicing customers, delivering the product, following up, getting referrals, all this crazy stuff. Marketing probably being the biggest one of them, online marketing, and marketing as a whole, as a process, of warming somebody up to your brand. I think I actually, when you go through something like this, you discover a lot of talents about yourself. You discover some things that you're naturally good at. You start learning about yourself, and I think marketing and launching a really compelling campaign is one of my talents. But like, even if I lose my job tomorrow, I will go to the next one. Probably at this point I won't, because I have so much going on. I'll just 10x this. But it is a lot of income from that job, and we'll see how it goes, because we're going through the breakup right now. We'll see how it goes. But like, I'll just go and get another job, and that's gonna actually probably pay like twice more. I'm already making quite a bit in that job, but it's gonna do twice more because I'm gonna be at like VP level. I'm already like looking at some of these jobs, and like I don't want to work for anybody anymore. But like, if I had to, trust me, like this right here, that the job I have now, like it's good, but any job that I would get after this would be even better. So it's like, it's all upside from here. Really, it's all upside after you put in a lot of work, a lot of learning, like every single night, like no weekends, no days off. This whole year, I don't think I probably took a day off for my ex's birthday. We went to the White Mountains, and like maybe a couple, but actually no, not really. Like, there's no days off. Every day you're working, every night you're learning, every single free minute you get where your mind is just not yet exploding. Card on you, or something else, or Patrick Bet David, or somebody inspiring. If you're feeling like shit, something inspiring. If you're feeling great, something where you're learning something, or you're executing, or you're on the phone. Like, you got, like, the time is crazy. I mean, probably like 120 hours a week. I don't even know what the number is. My job suffered a few months. I got really complaints from my work, because like they expect you to be there all the time and all that stuff, and there was some turbulences there too. Still are, because they know people at work know what I'm doing. IBM could probably sue me for everything that I'm doing, because I'm doing it under their, on their time. And is that ethical? And that's another thing. Like, you can make an excuse not to do it, or you can make it an excuse to do it. It's your choice. So this is my story, and I hope somebody listened to the whole thing, because I think the message really is, just find a shitload of excuses to keep going, and you're gonna be all right. Try to spend time with your family. Cut out activities that are not productive. Look after your health. Definitely look after your health. Like, I picked up smoking again recently, which is really bad, but it's still, I have my morning routine. I work out in the morning a little bit. I'm gonna quit smoking again. There's things that you're gonna try not, like, if you learn one thing, like, don't do that. I went to Vegas, and I was like, I guess what happens there stays there, but not smoking, because I picked up smoking. But it's just so many things that could go wrong, and it's okay, and you're still gonna be there, and it's gonna make you stronger. It's gonna make you smarter. It's gonna make you more experienced. It's gonna give you a story to tell, a ton of stories to tell, and it's gonna make you a better person. So, whenever you think about giving up, just bootstrap yourself. Think about somebody that you love. Think about something that inspires you. Whenever you think that your business idea is a failure, I mean, that happens sometimes, but ask yourself, is it really a failure, or is it just because you're not committed to dominating within that business? Is it because you're trying to quit too early? You know what I'm saying? Like, ask yourself, is somebody that's at your level, of influence, and at your level, is somebody crushing it in that business? If the answer is yes, you're probably just not doing enough. So, commit, don't give up, and be super great. Just go, and whatever you were dreaming of doing, just do it. It's amazing. It feels amazing. It's gonna be up and down, but at the end of the day, You know, it feels absolutely, there's you're gonna experience some new feelings. I'm telling you, you're gonna you're gonna feel a new way. It's gonna be a new person, and you're always gonna have this behind you, and you're always gonna, like, your ego will kind of actually deplete because you won't have to brag about some stupid thing you did 5 years ago, because you're crushing it every day. There's no need to brag about anything when you're like working to your full potential. No need to brag about nothing. You're gonna become a more humble person too. So I'm deeply convinced that being a business person is the hardest thing in the world, the most rewarding thing in the world, and it also makes you the best person, obviously, if you have the right mindset. So good luck. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I know this was long, but if you want to do business, let's do business. Now that you know a little bit about me, we can focus on some funny stuff when we talk, instead of talking about where I come from. All right, I'll see you soon.